Why, hello, and thank you for choosing the Vegan Luna podcast. If you came here to listen to influencers, business owners, people that are really making a change in this world and really creating some amazing ideas and amazing inventions, then you came to the right show. This show showcases some of the top people in the world that are making an impact, whether it's the environment, whether it's for health, or whether it's for the animals. This podcast is also available on YouTube, Apple Podcast, Spotify, Anchor, Google Podcast, Stitcher, and anywhere else you can find podcasts. I'd like to thank my sponsors, Purium, for providing some of the best organic superfoods that you could find on the market, as well as Vegan Nation, who is the first ever company to create a cruelty-free currency. Please go take a look at those. I cannot express this enough. All right, hello and welcome to the Vegan Luna podcast. I am here with an incredibly special individual that has created something that I think the community that we share definitely needs. He is actually the founder of the world's first vegan social media platform called Fegan Friends, and is the author of Positive Thoughts, Positive Outcomes. So I'm super excited for you guys to get a chance to listen to him, hear his story, hear what he's all about, and hear how he's helping make the world a better place. All right. But before we get into introductions, there's something that I always do, and it's called the quick vegan questions. Okay. So I'm going to ask you 5 quick vegan questions. Ideally, they're supposed to be answered relatively quickly. But at the same time, if it's a really good topic or really something that you're proud of or you want to share, like by all means, it doesn't have to be quick. Okay.
This way you're going to catch me out now.
Say it again.
Is this where you're going to catch me out now?
Yeah, this is when we're going to catch you out, like right up front. All right, so question number 1. What will it take, in your opinion, to get to a vegan world?
Well, I think this year is probably going to be the make or break. I think 2020 is going to be a key level for veganism. I don't think it's going to be a vegan world. I can't see that ever happening. I think there's a good chance that there's a lot of statistics already that estimate in the next 10 years there'll be sort of 1 to 10 of the world's population vegan. I certainly believe the more westernized countries like UK, US, and some of these other sort of Muslim countries as well will definitely be some of the first to adopt veganism, because a lot of them have been vegan for centuries anyway. I think the more difficult countries will be places like Africa and some of these other more sort of rural places that it's going to be difficult to educate people on the topic because they might not have the technology or whatever it may be. So I don't think you'll ever see a fully global vegan planet. Maybe in hundreds of years of time, that'll be past our time. But I think the key is just to get as much of the population as we possibly can, so that of course we can ultimately save humanity. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, absolutely. Great answer. All right. So what social platforms, in your opinion, has the biggest vegan presence right now that you're saying, like on a social media platform? What do you think has the biggest amount of vegans, like maybe pushing their message there?
Well, for me personally, I only ever use Facebook or LinkedIn, so I couldn't give you really insights into Instagram because I'm not going to lie, I don't really use it. I go on there every now and again. Same with Twitter, I very rarely use it. So I'm sure Twitter might have a good presence as well. But personally, I find Facebook and LinkedIn are the best current platforms especially for business anyway. Facebook's got a few groups and things like that. So I would say it's probably the best sort of market for it. And even if it's not necessarily the group, people are putting it on their sort of profiles and such now. So you'll get people putting a vegan quote or an animal quote or something along them lines. So the message is getting a bit more broader now than it perhaps was a decade ago. Yeah,
I definitely agree. And I think that it's interesting that you say that, like Facebook for sure and LinkedIn, yeah, definitely big ones, especially business, big time LinkedIn for business.
Yeah.
But then on the Facebook side, for sure, it's bigger, it has more of like a community type of feel. It has the group setting, and that's what attracts people to Facebook. That's why people like Facebook so much, because of the ease of access, the engagement. I love the engagement of Facebook. It has the best engagement with the way the comments are structured and how organized it is. It's really easy to read and go back through and follow up on old conversations and pick up where you left off. Where some of these newer ones, even Instagram is a little bit clunky. When you're going through the comments, it's a little bit hard to navigate who said what, what order. It gets in a weird order. You know what I mean?
It does, yeah.
Yeah. And even same for the newer apps, like we were talking about, like TikTok or whatever. Even the newer like aged apps. The commenting structure is just complicated.
Yes.
It's just not, I don't know, it's just not designed for lots of comments. It's designed for lots of video sharing. You know what I mean? So it's probably strategic, in a way.
And it is, yeah. And again, that's the big companies like Facebook and stuff. That'll be definitely strategic because ultimately they make money off more content. They don't generally make money off comments. They need more and more content in which could take adverts out or push marketing in your face. If you're engaged in one deep conversation, they don't make profit off that. They want you flicking and flicking and flicking and flicking, so you get the next advert, the next advert, the next advert, and that's where they'll make ultimately their money. So it's I think that's definitely strategic.
Yeah, it's all about views and attention, time spent on ad, and that sort of stuff. Like I recently, just quickly on social media, I just recently posted a video less than 3 days ago on TikTok, right? And I shared just a quick video of an activism group that I was participating in. And we were doing a demonstration, and I just shared a little bit of footage on it, and added a couple comments. Like I said, something like, "It's 2020. Why do we still have to convince you to not eat animals? You know what I mean? Like, it's time to make a change." Something really simple. It was only 6 seconds. That 6-second video that was very simple is now over 125,000 views. You know what I mean? It's my first viral video on that platform, and it's kind of crazy. Good. And
yeah, it's good, and that just shows you the people's attention span nowadays. It's something like 2 to 3 seconds. If they're not engaged instantly, they're off. So smaller videos. Again, this is why Instagram become popular. Is engaging the audience more than an in-depth, knowledgeable thing for 30 minutes. People generally don't bother sitting around and listening for 30 minutes. If 1 minute, 2 minutes maximum, and they've flicked off onto the next one. But but at the same time, they need to be seeing these in-depth educational videos. Like, again, YouTube is probably the most influential one for me. Facebook and LinkedIn, yes, for your posts, but of course your video content like this is where you get educated and you learn around the topics of veganism, environmental issues, animal issues. That's ultimately how it comes. And again, documentaries, some of the great documentaries that are out there, if you don't stick around and listen to it, how can you plan on educating yourself on the topic?
Oh yeah, education takes time. People don't realize that it does take time to get educated on these, for sure. But I was going to mention something on your comment about the ads. It's interesting, the ads and the adverts and how they want you to stay on that platform. Like if you share a YouTube video link to Facebook, it doesn't like that. It doesn't want you to go to YouTube. It wants you to stay on Facebook. It'd rather you share that same video on Facebook directly to the feed. That it would prefer that. Right? So my point was the 6-second video that I was going to tell you, it has over 200 hours of view time. Like, that's crazy. So that means that people are spending 200 hours extra on that app with my one video. That shows the attention on how views and attention can actually lead to business. You know what I mean? Which I think is really interesting as well, which sometimes people, sometimes forget about. It's like the attention on your business means that people know what you're doing.
Yeah, that's it. If you go back to like you just said about the ads with again Facebook, many years back they sort of changed their philosophy where now if you've got a Facebook page, which is why if you do a post or a video, you'll get basically no likes on it, and it's the way that they've adopted their platform so that you have to pay to boost it. Yep. And they never used to have that philosophy. It used to work just like your personal profile. Now, let's just say you've got
organic reach. The organic reach is dropping, but the new platforms have that organic reach. It's natural. I didn't have to pay for anything.
Well, no, it's not necessarily organic. It's because they've obviously encrypted something so that you have to boost your things. Again, it's all about the profit. Like, as an example, if you've got 5,000 friends on Facebook and 1,000 of those like your page because you've invited them, even though those 1,000 friends are on that page, you'll probably get 1 or 2 likes per post because Facebook does not put it in their timeline to see it. It doesn't like to do it unless you pay to boost it. That's just what they do.
For sure.
So again,
exactly. So Facebook in 2011 wasn't like that, right? You could post something and get a lot of likes, a lot of traction, right? So like, that's what I mean, like organically, not paid. You didn't have to pay anything, right, to get that attention.
Yeah.
The new apps, some of the new apps or new platforms like TikTok are getting that. It's like Facebook 2011. You know what I mean? It's like in the beginning stages, like before it got like crazy big. It's kind of like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, great. I knew we love talking about social. We're going to talk a lot about social platforms, which is fun. So number 3 for my quick vegan questions is, who is your favorite activist? Do you have an activist that maybe you like to follow, or someone that inspired you?
If I'm being honest, no, it's not the one part of it I follow. I don't really do the activist stuff. I appreciate those that do it. It's good because you're getting a different type of message out there. That's not certainly how I portray the message. And that's because I find sometimes a lot of the activists I've seen are a little bit too pushy. I'm quite pushy, but I find a lot of the activists are too pushy, and it's not really the way to portray the message of vegans. Because most people that don't really understand veganism portray everyone as these activists. They're all angry. They're all going mad for the animals. Whereas, again, I deliver the message in a different way, where it's more the environmental issues, because I think that's the bigger picture, why we have to all go vegan, not really the animal side of it. The animals, just, in my opinion, is a very small percentage that's affecting it. It's more to do with the other stuff, which we'll get into in a moment. So I wouldn't say there's a particular one that I've followed or anything like that. No, I've just watched the occasional bit here, there, everywhere on YouTube. And of course, a lot of these videos were the ones that encouraged me originally to go vegan. But I couldn't pinpoint a name and say it was X, Y, and Z was the person I followed, really.
Yeah, so you just like kind of absorbed the information, and you didn't grasp onto maybe like a particular individual.
No, yeah. Just took the information on board. And for me, it was more, my transition was more part of my spiritual journey, because I've gone through a massive spiritual transformation myself in the last sort of 3-4 years. This was kind of that last little bit of, look, I know it's absorbing this negative energy from the slaughter and the dead animals, and I need to get rid of it. That was kind of the initial transition. And then after about a month, I did even more research into veganism and found out, whoa, there's a lot more going on here than even I thought there was. And this is why I now plan on doing as many speeches as I possibly can around the topic.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great. I think a lot of people, they'll get into it and they'll start learning. And I think that the reason why they might follow a particular person is like just algorithms. If I'm watching someone's YouTube video and then I watch 2 or 3 more of that same person, they're going to start showing up in my feed. Right. And I think that's what happened to me. Like one person started just showing up everywhere. And I started watching their content, and that helped me learn really a lot more about the topic, but there's many activists out there that are teaching people about the topic, and everyone has their own style. You're right.
Going back to that, I generally prefer things like Forks Over Knives and the Game Changers, these sort of documentaries that they give you the subtle approach, they give you the knowledge, but they don't go too in depth with sort of the slaughter and that stuff. Yeah, they explain that it's happening. That's fine. That's all I need to know. I get that it's happening. And I think you can see this sometimes because there's some of these YouTubers that go on these news channels and stuff I've seen now. And I saw one recently, and the guy went to a university here in the UK, and the students just didn't care because they're in that old philosophy like I used to be, that real men eat meat and you've got to be tough to eat meat. And they kind of thought, well, I don't care. Humans are the dominant species. We can kill what we want, and we've got the sharp teeth to eat animals and a lot of this stuff. And it's trying to portray that message to people now to convince them that, look, you're talking absolute nonsense, and you've just been ill-educated like I was. And it's trying to get that message into people's minds now that, look, you've been brought up in a totally wrong way.
Yeah, something that's interesting about like maybe someone doing a talk or a speech like you, or maybe even someone just talking to one individual and recording the conversation, or even just someone like maybe commenting on like a social media post, like just sending a comment to like maybe someone that's like, oh, but we need, our canines, or whatever they say that seems ridiculous. What's very important that I found is the way that you respond to that. You're not responding to that individual, you're responding to an audience. So for example, like maybe that person in the UK that you're describing, I'm just giving an example, maybe they weren't really focused on the individual they were talking about. They were focused on the people that might be watching that video. So if they record a video and it gets a lot of views, they want to get to connect it with the audience. They want the audience to make a decision. Both sides are going to state their case. Maybe the vegan seems extreme. Maybe the meat eater seems extreme. But the way that it's usually decided is up to the audience. So then the audience will decide. And you're right. Some audience do decide, hey, that vegan is freaking crazy. And you're right. And it might give a different perception or a negative perception. Absolutely. You know what I mean? And then always my counter argument is, what's more extreme, what that vegan is doing or what I'm saying if I'm the crazy vegan, what that vegan is saying or doing, or what's actually happening to the animals in the slaughterhouse. So you just try to give them a really quick perspective, and you say, even though that vegan or whatever they're doing seems extreme, whatever it may be, it's still nothing compared to what's happening to animals every single day. So like sometimes it helps to give them perspective, but also most of those messages that you're watching, they're not for us. They're not for vegans that are already doing it. It's for the ones that have never even thought about this topic. You know what I mean? Sometimes they need a little bit of a push. Sometimes, I'll be honest, but not always. Just depends on the individual. But everyone's different, you know.
But again, this is why I think the message of veganism has to be portrayed and delivered in a different way. I think the current way is not working. Yes, it's slowly getting out there. That's just because people are a bit more educated and because of the adoption of the internet we have nowadays. But I think the way that it's still being portrayed is not encouraging the adoption as fast as it perhaps could. Because, again, it's going into the slaughter where a lot of common things that you'll see from people that aren't vegan will say, oh, do you realize how many bugs are killed in order to grow a specific crop? Yes, they are. So I get that. I get what they're saying. And there are loads of bugs that are killed in order to grow crops. I get that. So, which is why I think pushing the sort of animal side of things is not the way to go, because it should be more just around the generic of, look, mass adoption of cattle is causing all of these environmental issues, which ultimately, if you carry on, you're going to end up with no water. There's going to be a war caused over water. There's going to be more damaging health benefits of cancers and things like that to your children. And this is how I prefer to portray the message. Look, do you have children, great-grandchildren? Well, they're going to die if you don't sort these issues now. It's all about the future generations in the next 100 years, not what you want right now, and not really the animals right now. We've got to change it for humanity, really. We need to save humanity, not necessarily the animals. Yes, they still come a part of it, but it's us we've still got to save, because otherwise we're gonna ruin it so much that humans will have to live in outer space.
Yeah, for sure. I think you're right for all of those reasons. And I always say that there's so many different reasons why people do go vegan. Part of the creation of this podcast was to share different people's stories. Everybody has a unique story and a unique journey on what led them to get there. You know what I mean? And I think that there are some people that are led and driven by the animals. You know what I mean? And it makes sense and you get it, right? And then there are others that are really driven by health. And they might be like, yeah, environment, really, I don't care about that much. Even though you know it's important. But in their mind, it's just not. You know, and they're just like, yeah, health is more important. You know, maybe they're a little bit more selfish. Like, I just care about my health. And that's, you know, fine. At least you are helping the planet as well, unintentionally, right?
Yeah.
So that is good. So I like that everyone has a different journey in a different way. And I like sharing that, you know what I mean? But I also think that it's beautiful to know that there are different ways, because maybe people listening right now are like, yes, I love the environment. You know what I mean? I really care about it. I do everything I can. Oh, but I am eating meat. I didn't even know that it affects the environment. So it's a nice way to educate people as well. All right. So next question we have is, speaking about animals, what is your favorite animal? Do you have a favorite one?
It's definitely got to be related in the monkey world. I don't know. Again, something I always compare myself to is a silverback gorilla. So if I was to say, this is what I try and push on people that are not vegan when they say, look at the teeth, or look at a silverback gorilla's teeth. He eats 30 kilo of bamboo a day, and look at the size of the guy. He's 5 times stronger than you'll ever be, and he's got a higher PSI biting power than a lion has, but yet people just think of a gorilla as a strong thing. Well, he can actually bite harder than a lion, about twice as more powerful as a lion, and yet he's got sharp teeth and eats bamboo all day. Yeah, they eat a little bit of termites every now and again as just a one-off sort of snack, but primarily they eat bamboo. And, this is, again, what I try to show people, and I knew this years and years ago, but I was still blocking it out of my mind and thinking, yeah, a load of rubbish. But when I actually really look at it now, it all makes sense. That genetic structure that they've got, I truly believe humans had it, again, which is what they try to portray in the Game Changers when they explain about the gladiators. I probably believe the gladiators did eat these type of foods. And just over the generations, we've switched our diet somewhere, and it's just messed us up, which is why cancers have even become more bigger than they used to be, because, again, meat's a massive cause of cancer. And yeah, a lot of these other illnesses have come from this massive meat eating that we've changed. And again, even your appendix, again, I've had my appendix removed, and the appendix proves, again, a part of this, which is designed to digest grass in a very similar way to how cattle does, but yet we don't use it anymore. Why? So why have we got it in the first place then? Well, that proves, again, we were grass eaters. We ate vegetables of some kind, not meat, because why would we have one in the first place? So, Yeah, if I had to pick, I would say silverback gorilla and probably chimpanzee second.
Nice. Awesome. You know what? I love that explanation. And I'll tell you, that's going to be good content later for sure. All right. So last question for the quick vegan question. What does this quote that you said mean to you? It doesn't matter how much money you make, but how you make your money. What does that mean to you?
So part of my story, which again I speak about, is my business that I used to run because I had a very successful enforcement business. Now that's in the UK, that generally is referred to bailiffs, depending on what part of the globe you're from. Debt collectors, again, some people know it as. And this was a part of my spiritual journey because even though I earned the wealth, I kind of lost it all because of bad investments. And it was all ultimately in the way in which I acquired it. And it took me a while to sort of sit back and go, hold on, why is it, I'm earning 20 grand here, 30 grand here. Why is it going back out my hand again? And it was because in that industry, you kind of become heartless, and you have to succeed in that industry and earn money. You have to treat everyone the same. Look, I don't care what your story is. You're the same as the next scumbag. Pay me your money or I'm taking everything out of your house. And that's kind of the attitude you end up adopting, because to make money and be successful in that industry, you have to have that attitude. And because everyone will talk rubbish to you, you get everyone that tells you lies. They'll give you the sob story. So you kind of become heartless. And I even tell, again, this is a story I tell from the stage when I speak. And I can even remember turning up at an elderly couple's house the one day. They must have been 60, 70. Both of them had cancer. And I didn't care. All I said was, the one he was even going to chemotherapy. And I still said, look, pay me your money. And again, it's kind of a little bit juggling the rules, and you shouldn't really be doing that. But I kind of became heartless and didn't care. All I wanted to do was get paid and go home. And that's where that terminology comes from. It doesn't matter how much money you make, it's how you make the money. Because I made it in the wrong way, I lost it. So now I'm kind of back to square one again, and I've been chasing different businesses and, right, what's the next big thing I can build that's doing something good? Because with the good comes reward. And, it's something that I realize, and it doesn't matter what industry you're in, whether it's a sales role and you're scamming people, because there's tons of that happens. Again, another topic that I love talking about, I'm trying to do a TEDx talk about it, and that's corrupt coaches, because nowadays everyone's a coach. There's life coaches, fitness coaches, and I can guarantee you 99.9% of them haven't got a clue what they're doing and can't even funny enough, I saw one not long ago, a life coach, and he was doing this, and this was on TV, funny enough, and he was demonstrating how to do a press up, and the guy can't even do a press up. So how are you a fitness coach when you can't even do a press up? And you see so much of this corruption nowadays, and that's where that terminology comes from. Again, it doesn't matter if you're earning $1 million a year as a life coach. If you're ripping people off because you're giving them false information, then ultimately you'll end up like down the same path as I did. You'll lose it, or you'll have a bad investment, or you'll end up in an accident. Something will go wrong. People call it karma. Now, for the listeners that are religious, we'll call this God, or however you want to call it, that's fine. I'm spiritual, so I refer to it as energy in the universe, and how you draw the negative energy into you, and it leaves a sort of, again, because of the way that you've acquired it. So when you're surrounded with negative energy, and before I go on about, I don't want to go too much because we haven't got time to ramble too much, but how I talk and explain this again is money. When you're in that industry that I was in, every day I'm handling cash. On what is cash made from? It's made from the second biggest energy source on Mother Nature, and that's trees, because it's made from paper. Yes, it's changed slightly to this polyester plastic stuff now, but it was always made from paper. And of course, when people hand you that money, they used to say affirmations like, go fuck yourself, I hope you die, and I hope your wife dies, whatever it might be. So they're passing that energy to you, in which I then take that home at night time, £20,000 or whatever I've got in my house, and all that negative energy is sitting on me, and it's sitting in my room. And it took me a while to realize, hold on, what's going wrong here? And ultimately, that's where that expression comes from, which is why I talk about it from the stage now.
Yeah, that's great. That's excellent. Yeah, I recently have been going through my own kind of self-awareness kind of journey, where I'm looking for, how am I going to focus less on making the money, and how I'm making the money, and doing the right thing, and continuously giving back, and continuously giving and providing the most value, and being the most educational as I possibly can, giving the best information, keeping people, and also being as accessible as possible as I can to people. Like, if you want to hear my voice, you can hear my voice on podcast, you can hear my voice on 8 different podcast channels. You know what I mean? You could watch it on YouTube. You could watch it small clips on Instagram or LinkedIn or Facebook. I'm trying to be as accessible. Like whatever your platform is, I'll go there. I'll go to your platform. You know, instead of asking you to come to my platform, you know, hey, come to my Facebook, come to my whatever. I want to be as accessible as possible. So I realize if I give as much good as possible, of course, you know, it's going to come back in return. And even just speaking of the podcast, just in general, just meeting someone like you. I've met meeting business owners like you, meeting creators or smart minds or people that are so dead focused on really making the world a better place. Like that's exactly what this place is for. So I'm thankful to meet people like you and several others like you, you know, on a weekly basis that I would never have a chance to talk to if I didn't do this. So
yeah, that's awesome. And again, that's something I think you'll notice yourself as well over the next few years as you carry on with your podcast. And that's that a lot of the top vegans are very spiritual, and you probably have seen that yourself already. And again, it kind of comes from that energetic side of things, really. That's ultimately where a lot of this comes from. Even before, in the last 10 years, where we've only really just been educated about it. We've got a lot more books now than we used to have. And that's because of the internet. You know, things like Think and Grow Rich, it's a very popular book. Even though that's been out for donkey's years, it's probably, again, in the last 10, 15 years, a lot of people have seen that. And that's because the internet now shows you and people go, oh, what's this? Oh, brilliant, I can actually get this book. Whereas 20 years ago, most people wouldn't have thought of, oh, I want to go to the library and pick up this self-development book. They wouldn't have really looked at that. So again, now that we're going through this spiritual journey as well, which is very popular now, I think more and more people will go through their vegan journey as well, because they come hand in hand.
Yeah, 100%. All right. So thank you so much for the quick vegan questions that weren't so quick as usual. So what we're going to do is I want you to introduce yourself. So I talked a little bit about you. We know a little bit about who you're talking to, but who is this guy? Tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Yeah, so apart from the little bit that we just covered with the enforcement, so I joined the Royal Marine Commandos at the age of 16. That was something I kind of had an ambition to do since I was a young age. It was something I always wanted to do. I also wanted to then sort of go take my career further and go into the SBS, which is the British Special Boat Service, and go into the Special Forces. That was kind of my journey that I always wanted. You know, everyone's, as a kid's always got something they want to do. They want to be a doctor, a footballer. That was mine. I wanted to be in the SBS and prove that I was the best. And I've kind of always had that mentality no matter what business or something I've gone into. I've generally always had that mentality of I want to be the best, whether it's sport, no matter what. I did kind of get lost in a little bit of my life where I kind of lost who I really was. And that was kind of after there. I went into a lot of sales roles. Kitchen designer is another thing I did, which again, this was probably the transition where I kind of got a little bit lost. And it was around 2010. I then had an ambition of becoming a professional mixed martial arts fighter. Again, this was something I always wanted to do, but never really pursued it as such. Now, did all the training and everything for it. Had my first fight in front of over 1,000 people. Unfortunately, I lost the fight. But this was the key turning point. This was the start of the turning point of my career, because after my loss, which at the time all I did was blame the instructor and say, look, it's your fault, you made me lose all of these weight classes so that I could go. And I ended up really skinny on the night, and I didn't feel healthy because I lost too much weight. So at the time, I always used to blame him. But now I know the bigger picture. I know kind of the reason why all this happened back then. And that's through my spiritual transformation again, because I've always known that I'm going to end up very wealthy. It's something I've always just had in my mind. I've always been money conscious. And it's just kind of become a part. I mean, I know I will end up as a billionaire. This is, again, a part of my money blueprint, and I know that. And it's not until I know what I know now, I know why I went through that loss. Because after that, this was the key moment. After that, I then decided, right, I want to lift a bunch of weights so that I can become bigger in order to go and fight in a, let's just call it middleweight as a fighter, right? That was the plan. I never had any intention of quitting. But after 2 months of lifting weights, I was like, whoa, what am I going to the cage for and getting punched every night? When a good sort of speech to go by is, you've probably seen Pumping Iron from Arnold Schwarzenegger. You ever seen that movie?
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, one of his famous quotes is, getting the pump on with your muscles is better than coming during sex. And it's not until you really become in love with the weights where you actually understand that. And at the time, I was kind of in love with it. And I was like, yeah, I get this now. This is awesome, getting your chest pumped up in your arms and like, yeah, I feel like King Kong now. And so I basically pursued a career then as a bodybuilder. And I did that for 5 years. And I had 2 competitions in 2015. And I came second in the NABBA England. And funny enough, the NABBA is the competition that Arnold Schwarzenegger first did as well. So that was kind of the path. And again, I never had any ambition of giving up the bodybuilding. That was then something I thought, right, I'm going to be the biggest bodybuilder there ever is, etc., as I always do, aim for the top. But that same very year was the year I met my wife. And when I met my wife, it wasn't probably until after about a year we were together, she introduced me to my first book about the law of attraction, which is The Power of Your Subconscious Mind by Dr. Joseph Murphy. That was the first ever book that introduced me to how the mindset really works. Again, it took me a while to get my head around it, because if anyone's never picked up these type of self-development books, you're probably going to pick up and go, what on earth is that? That's a load of crap. Don't get it. Now, I picked it up, I kind of got it, but I still didn't really understand it. It takes a bit of time before it seeps in and you understand how to work it. Now, once I understood that, a lot more things started changing in my life. I did a lot more private security for like high net worth individuals, did a lot of training over in the States as well. But this then led to the next career, which was the enforcement, which we briefly spoke about. That was kind of the big success turning point. And again, this was all a part of ultimately that mindset of the money blueprint and everything else. Now, even though I earned the wealth during that, again, of course, I lost it because of the negative energy. And then that's led really, I suppose, up until the last couple of years where I decided, right, I've got to get into that business because of the way in which I was losing it all anyway. I then decided, right, I want to inspire people. So I became an inspirational speaker, which is why I now speak from the stage on different topics of self-development. Again, I teach a lot of things like gratification, meditation, affirmations. Health is a big thing. Again, I talk about so many people neglect their diet and nutrition when they forget that that's a massive part of your manifestations. If you ever plan on attracting wealth into your life, having a healthy diet will attract it certainly quicker. Now, I know there's a lot of listeners that probably listening to this now thinking you're talking bollocks, because I know a load of overweight people that are wealthy. Yeah, true. But ultimately, if you are wealthy and overweight, you delayed your manifestations, because again, when you eat bad food, your manifestations come at a far, far slower rate than when you eat healthily, and water and everything else that you drink. So, yeah. And then that led into writing my first book as well, which was released last year, called Positive Thoughts, Positive Outcomes. So I became an author of, the first book, many more to probably come over the next sort of 5 years, just trying to juggle as much time as possible. And in between even all of this sort of stuff, I had so many businesses that I either tried to start and I thought, right, this could be the next thing, and it either hasn't worked out. And I've always tried to set up a Bitcoin ATM business and just trying to become massive with that. And again, the crypto market has become so, I don't even want to get started. It's become so sort of manipulated in the last few years, and that's where I lost all my money anyway. So it was my own fault. I've learned my lesson now. I know how to invest a lot better now. And I kind of got out of that market because it's a bit like, look, regulations during the next 12 months are going to change drastic. So it's an industry where it's kind of just better on sitting on the sideline, I think, until a lot of these regulations come in, and then we'll see what happens. Because until that happens, the market's so manipulated, you can lose money in 2 minutes, and it's too risky at the moment for me. So there was that. And then again, I've even done other things. Like last year, I went to with a business partner go and buy a mine in Iran. Bit of another random one.
Yeah, I think it's great. I think even like it's kind of interesting, like kind of like your background and your upbringing and going and how you talked about the documentary, The Game Changers. I was just thinking how connected The Game Changers must have been to what you felt like you went through in your life. Like, do you agree?
Yeah, because again, ultimately, I was in that same philosophy that everybody else was. And there's so many people out there now that when I even speak to people, they think only men eat meat, especially in the States, because there's so many people eat beef. It's probably the worst country for it. And again, it's just this whole philosophy of man have to eat meat. No, you don't. It's a load of nonsense. I'm fit, healthy, and strong now, and I haven't had anything for over a year now. And I think it's just something that's, again, we've got to get into that mindset. And I used to have that same philosophy. Like I said, I used to have probably at one point anyway, anything from 20 to 30 kilo of chicken a week when I was bodybuilding. So I was a part of that victim as well of, yeah, you've got to eat your meats, you need your protein, blah, blah, blah. Same old rubbish. I didn't think you could get it from plants and from beans and quinoa and all these lovely foods that you can get your protein from. Again, I thought you had to eat your chicken, your fish, your beef to get it. And so, yeah, I think documentaries like that massively resemble with myself because I went through a similar journey through my sporting careers as well.
Yeah. So what would you say was for you? What was the turning point that you were like, you know what? I am going to cut out these animal products completely. I'm going to go vegan. What does that turning point look like for you?
Now, again, this is a conversation I have with a lot of people because I'm different than most people. Most people struggle to give things up. I'm the sort of person where if I was an alcoholic, I could stop it in a week. If I smoked 20 cigarettes a week, I could stop it next week. It's just something I'm quite gifted with, and I can start and stop things instantly. It's just how I always am. And even though I used to eat all of this meat, I just decided, right, enough's enough. And within a week, everything was out the house, and that was it. It was kind of the decision of, right, I think I'd seen a few more different videos or stuff online, and it was the case of, look, this is the last straw of this negative energy that's surrounding me with my spirituality again. That's why it just needs to go. And it was the case of it's going and that's it. And when I do something, I either do it to the maximum or I don't bother at all. I'm not one of these that will go in the middle. I don't ever do the middle ground. I'm either not interested, don't talk to me, I'm not bothered, or if I'm doing it right, we're going to the moon together kind of thing. So yeah, I made that decision, right, I'm giving it up. And that was, I think it was Jan, possibly February last year, so 2019.
What would you say would be some information that kind of led you to make that decision? Maybe a couple environmental things, maybe led that direction, maybe some health, some ethics.
No, even though as we briefly explained at the beginning, even though now I push more on the environmental stuff, it was the animal stuff that was for me. It was kind of seeing the way that, again, the cows were being treated in the factories, the way that they were being abused and sort of thrown around on forklift trucks. And again, I've always known it's bad for your health, about the amount of pus that's actually produced inside milk. And it's funny because, again, I remember when I was a kid, I had one of my closest friends as a child, and he always used to get broken bones, always. And he used to drink gallons and gallons and gallons of cow's milk. And everyone used to think, well, what's wrong? Cow's milk, calcium, meant to make your bones strong. A load of rubbish. And it's the biggest myth going, broccoli will give you 10 times stronger bones than cow's milk will. And it's just, again, I kept seeing it and seeing all of the negative side effects from the health. Then I saw ones with the chickens as well, and kept seeing all of the chickens, the way in those chicken farms are actually just some skinny rake, and the way that they're abused. And I was thinking, I'm eating all these eggs every day. What am I even eating that for? It's disgusting. When you see really how it's made, I was like, that's just disgusting. And that was it, really. I just watched probably two. It didn't take much more than 2 or 3 videos from me, even though I'd seen them years before. Now I was at that point in my life, I was like, right, yeah, it's gotta go. Let's just do it, and I'm done, kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure. Did you have any noticeable health benefits?
I would probably say increased energy. I still get people that speak to me now and say, how do you work 16 hours a day and you should slow down, stop doing it? Well, I'm fine. It doesn't bother me. I might have the occasional bad day, but I can happily travel 10 hours a day and work 9 hours a day. It doesn't, I'll just go with the flow and do what I can and carry on going. I think the good thing with veganism is it does give you that extra energy. And again, with the gym, I think now that I'm a vegan, especially if I have a good gym workout now, I get pumped up and all my veins burst out, a bit like when I used to be on steroids. Now, when I was a bodybuilder, took steroids for years, and it does the same sort of thing with the vascularity. And I get that same effect now with the vegan food. And I think, whoa, if I could have had this food when I was bodybuilding and when I was all jacked up, I could have been absolute veins bursting out of everywhere. So now when I look at it, I think I could have been even better with this diet, because it just seems to do something where probably, again, the way it blocks up your blood pores and stuff, and it probably stops that blood flow. The vegetables give you that increase of blood flow, which is why I can pump up quick now as a vegan. It's crazy.
Yeah, 100%. So now you've learned a lot of information, obviously, throughout your years, and you are in the mode of you wanted to give back, right? And you want to really provide, something that could be great for the community, the vegan community. So tell us a little bit about what you're working on. How are you, maybe this is your type of activism. You say, oh, that activism, maybe that's not my type. Maybe your type is creating an awesome business. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so currently I'm the founder of Fegan Friends. That's Fegan with an F, feganfriends.com. We are the world's first currently vegan social media platform. Now, the reason why this platform was originally developed was we was traveling to London, myself, my wife, on business, and getting sick of originally just finding cafes, restaurants, and it was quite annoying. And at the time, I still didn't really know there was platforms like Happy Cow that existed. So I thought, right, I'm going to develop my own platform where I can find cafes, restaurants. Then as this sort of developed, and I realized, hold on a minute, there's a lot more that we can do to this and that we can add to it so that we can get the vegan community and the environmental community all on one platform. Because currently, when you go onto Facebook, you go onto LinkedIn, yes, you've got a few little groups you can go into, but it's still very opinionated and you get people giving their negative views on it when you don't need to hear people's negative ramblings. If you don't want it, whatever, go away and do what you want to do. There's some people you just can't educate. They won't listen no matter how good of a speaker you are, no matter how nice you are to them. Some people just won't listen. So it's kind of a case of, right, let's get a platform that everyone loves animals, everybody loves saving this planet, everyone wants to do something all under one hood. So, of course, we developed the platform that's got the social media elements, so you can post on your timeline, you can like each other's pictures, videos, create groups on whatever topic you want. Could be a meeting in a local area, whatever. We've got integrated forums. We've even got our own shop that has vegan integrated products. Now, the platform as well has one of the unique features. It's got a massive gamification platform. So games are very popular nowadays, as you know. And the idea of the platform is the more you interact with it, the more you like, the more you share, whatever it is, comments, you earn points, stars, stickers, gems, coins, which can be used in exchange for free in the shop. So you can either get some free vegan goodies, or you can use that to upgrade to one of our premium options like the business directory. So if you're a business and you want to list on the business directory, that is a premium option. You can either pay for it, whatever it is, $99, or you can save up so many points over the course of the year or whatever and buy it for free if that's really what you want to do. Yeah, and then we have also an integrated business directory, which again will list you on Google Maps. You can list your opening hours depending on which part of the world you're from. You can, of course, depending on which package again you take out, you can have a gallery with 20 pictures, you can have video, you can have an FAQ section, depending on what you want. Then on top of that, we've got an events calendar, so users can submit their own events and make profit for it. So very similar to like Eventbrite, but we're actually cheaper than Eventbrite because we only charge 2% commission, whereas they charge like 2.5%. Again, it's designed to get vegans, environmentalists to list all their events, because right now, again, it's difficult sometimes to find global vegan events. Right, so let's just have a platform where they can all be listed as well as interact with your friends on the social platform. Then we thought, right, we'll go one step further, and then we added a jobs portal as well. So people can actually apply for jobs, you can list jobs, you can upload your resume, CV, and do that as well. There are some of these features are premium options. The social element and all the other stuff is free. But some of these things like the business directory, and if you want to list so many jobs, like 10 jobs is $10 or something like that. And then you've got like a photo gallery where all of the global photos can be viewed, all your friends' photos, your own photos. Then on top of the gamification, you've got like a platform where you can see trophies, medals, leaderboards. So it's designed again to be a fun interactive platform that rewards the users, and it's all aimed again towards vegans all under one hood. So rather than just having one thing, we've tried to, right, let's cram it all in, because it's kind of the case of, look, why can't we? I speak to people all the time, they're like, oh, there's too much going on. No, there isn't too much going on, because why should I have to log into this platform, that website, this website, when we can have it all under one and it works just as well? Let's just do it then. Let's have it all under one. You come on and you can do what you want. You can book an event. You can find a new job in a vegan factory if you're a factory worker and you don't want to work in a meat factory. Well, get in and work in a vegan factory. So it's a case of putting it all under there so that we give something for the users and they don't have all of this negative energy towards veganism that you get with the likes of Facebook.
For sure, yeah, a place. I mean, everyone is trying to create that place, that like under one roof. You know what I mean? And like all the vegans in one spot, and kind of like getting them together. And the interesting thing is that challenge. You know what I mean? Of course, you're not going to get every single one. Like you'd love to get every single one, but like you get a huge amount that makes a big difference. I mean, you're making waves. You know what I mean? And you're taking a collective belief system and you're pushing forward to take hopefully actionable steps. to get to the goals that we all want to accomplish. Yeah, so I think that's great, creating any kind of community or place like that, whether it is a social platform or whether it's just a normal group. I think that's great and that's awesome. Where would you say that your app stands right now, as far as, or your online, your Fegan friends, what stage is it right now in your growth stage, and how soon can we see this in the app store, stuff like that?
So in terms of growth, we're facing more challenges than we thought, because basically it's got to the point where we've run out of funds. So currently we're seeking VC funding, trying to speak to as many VCs as possible, but kind of the reaction that we're getting is we need a larger team. But this is something we are looking at, because I still don't see why I need a larger team just yet, not until the app has been developed. So currently it's available on desktop and mobile, fully integrated with your mobile from desktop to mobile. And we've had quotes, we can get the developers, everything's been all put in place to do the app. We've even got a range of matching games to go with that. So, like kids games like Snap and things like that, to make it fun for the kids as well as the adults. So we've got everything sort of planned out. But because we've run out of funding, it's a case of seeking funding. And I've never sort of been in a position where I've had to speak to VCs and do this kind of thing. I was on the other side of the fence previously as the investor, and now asking for money is kind of like, right, well, this is more difficult than I thought it was going to be. I thought they would see the platform and kind of jump to it, and once they realise the founder who's behind it and his vision and the person who I am, but they don't really care whether you're the most genius person in the world. They don't really care, even though it's my mindset that will make the business successful. Never mind whether you've got the best idea since sliced bread. I don't care what your idea is. It's the person behind it is more than anything. I've seen successful businesses before, and they've raised 10 million, and a year down the line, the founder decides he wants to fold it, and he takes his money, and the investors lose out or whatever, because ultimately it comes down to the founder or the founders rather than the management team and all the rest of it. So I'm still trying to juggle what's best to get the funding that we need. Now, if we get the funding, let's just say next month, the app can be readily available in 4 months. The developers can do it in 4 months, and that'll have everything on there with, of course, additional features coming out over the course of the next 12 months. That's the plan and the roadmap that we have. So currently, I can't really give any estimations because it all comes down to the funding. And we've kind of had to set a goal of, I don't know, worst case scenario. We have to look at worst case scenario. No one wants to do the funding. We're going to give it probably 6 months. And if it doesn't, it's a thing where you just have to cut your losses and move on to something else where we can help people. And there's so many different things that we want to do with the platform. Again, this giving back to the public, where we want to, once the funds have been raised, I'm even wanting to do something where, look, the first $50,000 that the platform makes, we want to use this to go, and I've been in touch with a guy where I want to build a school over in Rwanda. There's a school that wants to be developed in Rwanda, but I'd like to go and do it myself. So again, these are the nice things you want to do for the business, but I'm not the sort of guy that's just going to go, right, here's 50,000, go and do it, because a lot of charities mug you off and scam you. If I'm going to give you my money, I want to go over there and build it myself with you, and get a team of guys and builders and construction or whatever we need to do, and really give back to the public in that one way. And again, we can look at even doing other things where we develop and help the plastics industry, because that's another big thing that's massively corrupt that needs sorting out. So there's loads of different things that I want to do, but it's kind of at the moment where I'm just sort of juggling where's best to put the time, and while we're waiting for the funding ultimately, because it is a long waiting game with these VCs. It's trying to get meetings, it's trying to get everything organised so that we can ultimately get this platform out there to the public and create this vision that we have, so that the public can benefit from this.
Oh yeah, 100%. I totally understand exactly what you're talking about. I'm in a similar situation where I'm looking at the funding aspect of some of the businesses that I'm trying to create as well. And it's a very interesting, almost a very interesting thing that you have to navigate. And it's a good learning experience though. That's for sure.
Yeah. Whether it goes good or bad, you're definitely going to learn along the way.
Yeah. So is there anything else as we kind of wrap up, kind of getting the story out and sharing who we're about? Is there anything else that maybe you really want to add to the topic, or maybe reiterate something that you don't want anyone to forget? Kind of like one big thing that like if they listen to this podcast and they get one good message from you?
Well, I suppose some of the stuff we didn't really jump onto, and that's again, I think I briefly mentioned that I'm a public speaker as well. So my goal and my vision is to get on as many international stages. So if there's anyone listening to this, give me a call, drop me an email. I want to speak about veganism on the biggest stages possible. Again, it's just being presented with those opportunities so that I can speak about this topic, because I've noticed as a public speaker, this sometimes can be a big hurdle as well, because everyone wants paying daft money and I'm not paying it. You should be paying me to speak. And I think that's kind of the way in which I've changed my mindset now. If the right opportunity comes along and they'll pay for my travel and accommodation, okay, I might go and do it for free, but I'm certainly not going to be paying for the stage. Even last year I got offered to speak with Bob Proctor, if you know Bob. He's sort of in the spirituality and he's over in the States. And it was to, right, you can speak with him on stage in Berlin, but it's going to cost you 10,000. So you what, 10,000 to go and speak with him? So these are the things where I'm now pushing into sort of a different niche, which is speaking on veganism and in the environmental issues, because there's less and less public speakers on this topic as well. And that's why having me as well as the founder of Fegan Friends is great, because I can go internationally and talk about this platform and educate people on veganism, because it's no good trying to pitch to people, because they get sick of that. Look, no one likes being sold to. So it's like, right, let me educate you first and tell you why veganism is the thing. And then naturally they will come and use your service, your platform, whatever it is you may have. So that's the one thing. Then the other thing we didn't chuck in there as well is I also am a part-time actor. Now, this is something that I decided to do me acting because I think it's a great way of getting that mindset away from the business. When you're developing business, whether you're a web developer, speaker, author, whatever it is, a lot of these things are time consuming, they can be stressful at times. So it's like, right, I need to find something that I enjoy that can take my mind away from it. And I think acting is something that I haven't been doing it for that long, and I've sort of fell in love with it very quick, and I really enjoy it. So that is something that I'm doing as well. And I would love to, again, if there's anyone out there that's listening to this, I would love to do a documentary around, again, veganism and the environmental issues. This is something I'd love to come in collaboration with somebody on and put something together with producers, whoever's listening to this. That would be something I'd love to do. And going back to the last question you mentioned, which is really the key message, I would really say if you're vegan, fantastic. If you're not, just give it a try, especially now. I don't know when this is going to be going out, but we're in Veganuary right now. So it's a fantastic time to give it a try. But just please, 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 if you do go vegan, stick to the whole foods, because we're in a corrupt world now where, yes, it's great to see all these vegan companies, but they're so processed as well now. Yeah, what Greg's sausage roll, don't think a vegan Greg's sausage roll is healthy, because it isn't. Yes, it's probably doing something good for the planet, so it's a stepping forward. Okay, a KFC vegan burger, fine. It's not slaughtering and killing the animals. That's a start. But you ain't going to have a six-pack and you ain't going to be healthy eating this junk, because it's still highly, highly processed. A vegan should be on raw foods, should be eating whole foods, should be eating greens, vegetables, fruits. That's the idea of veganism. Yeah, I'm not saying you can't have a vegan burger now and again. Of course, that's fine. That's cool. Have a bit of chocolate now and again. I do. That's not a problem. But make sure that 90% of your diet is all whole foods, all organic, whatever you can get, and keep it healthy, because you want to help your own health as well as save the planet. You need to look after yourself as well.
Absolutely. And even if you think about it, there's 20,000 edible plants that we can eat.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's near impossible for us to know all 20,000 of those edible plants that we could potentially eat. So there's so many more that are out there that you don't even know about. So keep an open mind. You know what I mean? You might learn about a plant that does have some kind of benefits that is very different from maybe the plant they were eating before. You know, and you're very right. As the same that processed and whole foods is different, there's also even like another level that I'm learning about, you know, it's beyond just the whole foods. You know, it's what goes into the organic, you know what I mean? Or what goes into some of these other superfoods, like what makes the superfood super, you know, like I'm learning some of those stuff is really interesting, how it interacts with like your gut microbiome. Yeah, that stuff is fascinating. But yeah, you're 100% right. That you just cannot live on the stuff like Greg's sausage rolls and the Beyond Burgers, you know, have that every once in a while for sure. I mean, I had one last night, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, like have that every once in a while. Absolutely. But yeah, you gotta really pay attention a little bit more. And I feel like I've learned more from the time I went vegan to now. I know a lot more about health and nutrition. I even taken nutrition courses, just to learn. So yeah, I definitely agree 100%. So where can people find you? Where can people follow you if they really want to get in touch with you and or one of your projects that you're working on?
So our platform, we briefly mentioned that before, is Fegan, Fegan, Fegan Friends. That's Fegan with an F, not vegan. Feganfriends.com. That's the platform. So I urge you to go and check it out, sign up, create an account, get sharing, get posting, whatever, try it out. We're happy for any feedback. If you've got any feedback, share it with your friends. The more members that we can get signed up on the platform, the quicker we can get the funding, because ultimately that's what they want as well. But we've also discovered that without paying for these top influencers, that's the challenge we're trying to overcome. So yeah, get and sign up on there, get and share it with your friends, get them on there, get and try them out. If you want to get in touch with me personally, I am also a mentor as well. So if you want to work with me on a one-to-one, we can do that. ShaneSenior.com. So that's senior, SENIOR, especially if you're globally, because people seem to spell it wrong. So yeah, ShaneSenior.com. If you go on any social media, it's pretty much Shane Senior UK, Shane Senior Entrepreneur, I think it is for YouTube. And yeah, and you'll see a lot more in terms of like IMBD as well. And yeah, I think that's pretty much covered everything.
Awesome. That's great. I'm so happy to talk to you. I'm so glad to hear your story and what you stand for and how you're impacting the world. I can't wait for people to share this and help you out and help build, this world that we want.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's been great speaking to you. And of course, we can hopefully keep putting our messages out there and help as many people as we can along the path. And I find as well, just to chuck in there before we wrap it up, and that's when I go to business meetings and when I go places, it's so difficult to try and, even if it's just educate 20 people, you can easily get into a debate or an argument over the topic, because so many people are passionate about farming and about the meat industry that sometimes you need to be speaking to the right audience. You need to be speaking to people that want to learn and that are ready for that transition. They're ready for that change. Because if you try and tell people that aren't ready, you're just wasting your breath and you're wasting your time. You'll get in an argument and a debate with them. So it's better to just say nothing.
That's very important, but it does depend on the circumstance. But it's very important to know your audience, and the person that you're talking to, and are they open to receiving that message? All of us, the reason why we all changed, anyone that went vegan, is because we had an open mind at the time when we learned the information. If we didn't have that, we wouldn't have been able to be able to receive that information. And so you're right. Some people are just not ready, and you're right. It's a waste of time. It's a complete waste of time. If you're talking one-on-one, it's better just to move on and be like, okay, bye. Right? Totally. Right. So I definitely agree that. And then on the flip side, if someone's listening and watching you, then it's another kind of way to, how do you navigate that situation?
Yeah.
Like you could just say bye, or you could say, you know what, I'm going to drop some knowledge real quick and let's, see what sticks.
Yeah, and again, we haven't, on this podcast, we really haven't had the time to sort of discuss the actual environmental issues towards veganism. But if the people want to find out more, check out documentaries like The Game Changers, like Forks Over Knives, which is a great one for your health benefits. There's plenty of things on Netflix. There's plenty of things on YouTube that you can now find out how bad it is really for the water, why we don't have any corals anymore because we're taking out of the fish. All of the fish is being fed to the cattle. People think it's for humans. No, cattle consume way more fish than humans do. It's killing the seas. We're killing the land because we're taking up too much land, and we're killing the air because we're filling it with toxic from the methane. So we're killing the land, sea, and air, all from mass-producing cattle. So it's got to stop. So we haven't got time for me to go into the ins and the outs.
Yeah, for sure.
Do your own research.
Hey, maybe on another podcast we could do that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. In the meantime, do your research. Yes.
Yeah. All right. Well, it was great talking to you. I'll talk to you soon. All right. And
awesome.
Have a great day.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Cheers, Tom.
Thank you guys for listening to the podcast. Please, please, please make sure that you guys share this with anyone that you think will find this interesting, and also make sure that you guys subscribe, because I can see a lot of you guys are listening, but you aren't subscribed. So please subscribe, and also don't forget to go to my website where you can leave comments and see more content at veganluna.com.